Hey, welcome back to the shop. This is Zach over at Woodwerks. Time for a shop tour. So I'm going to be walking you through my shop. I did a lot of upgrades and things last week and moved things around, so I'll kind of walk through and show you what's going on. All right, so I'm standing just about where I stand when I'm doing the weekly updates. So I'm just going to kind of pan around. At this end, you'll probably notice that's where I kind of do my casting, and that's where I usually stand for the weekly updates. There's the lathe area. So I'm just turning around in a circle. All right, so in the middle, I've kind of set the shop up so that I have an island of tools. This is all the big dust collection kind of kneading tools. I got a saw stop, planer, sanders, a drum sander, Performax. I love that drum sander. Got an 18-inch bandsaw. There's my dust collector. It's a Grizzly 3-horse, 2 canister. Now, originally I wanted to get a, what are they called? A Cyclone. But those things are pretty expensive just for the Cyclone unit, which I would have actually paid for the Cyclone, but the problem was the ductwork pretty much doubles the price. So I just said no way. And so what I did instead was I opted for the island of machines, and I figured, well, this may be a little bit lower, suction or collectability. I don't know. This Grizzly, it may not be as good as a Cyclone, but if I keep all the tools pretty much right next to it, it should do a really good job. So that was the plan. And I do have very short runs. Everything goes straight into it. I don't have an actual separator. It's not a 2-stage dust collection system. I do have a separator canister for doing like floor sweeping, but everything else just is hooked directly between the machine and the dust collector itself. But they're all pretty short runs. It works actually pretty well, especially for the massive dust hogs, like the planer and the drum sander and all that kind of stuff. Jointer over here. So that's where I do all my mill work. Now, around the edges are kind of the, accessory tools. I got a miter saw. That thing, dust collection doesn't generally happen too well on a miter saw unless you got a Festool $2,000 miter saw, which I don't. So I don't really use that miter saw that much, but it's okay. Whatever. I have it. It's useful sometimes. Next to that is my lumber storage. So I have, let me scoot back a little bit here. I've got really tall ceilings in here, like 16-foot ceilings. Still not to the top. So I opted for vertical storage because that way I don't have to, problem with horizontal storage for rough lumber is you always need the board on the bottom of the stack. So this way I don't have to do any of that stuff, and it actually works better because I have more room up that I wouldn't use otherwise. Let me scoot back again. In this corner is where I keep my sheet goods. I have a kind of vertical storage thing that I built. It's got screws on the side that kind of press the boards flat against each other. Works a lot better if you have a lot more plywood than I have on hand right now, but that's been working pretty good. It keeps it all, all your material concise. It's out of the way, and you still don't have that issue of needing the bottom piece. So pretty nice. Now, when I'm going to be doing milling, I might take a rough board. If I have to rip it, I'll probably hit it with the 18-inch. This is a Steel City 18-inch bandsaw. I would not recommend buying this again. I don't like it much, but it works. It does what it needs to do. If I'm not going to rip it, if I need to kind of cross-cut really long boards, rough boards or plywood, full sheets, I'm going to use this little station. My dad picked this thing up for free. I think the guy was like a cabinet maker or I don't know, something. He had a cabinet shop. And so underneath this is horizontal plywood storage. It fits sheets of plywood, but again, I don't like that because you always need the bottom one, so I don't use it for storage. But I do love the top because I can put a full sheet of plywood on here and cut it down. Now, how I break down my sheet goods and even my rough lumber in some cases is with the Festool TS75 and the track. Or if it's rough lumber and I'm cross-cutting it, I'll use the jigsaw. After that, I'm going to hit it with my joiner. I love this joiner. It's the Powermatic helical head 8-inch, and it's awesome. So I'll mill the face and a square edge there, and it's nice because I can leave the lumber sitting on that big bench before I run it, or if I'm doing a lot of pieces, just leave it there and then run it over the joiner. Then once I got a square edge and a flat face, I'll either hit it with the drum sander, depending on what it is, or my planer. Now, I've had this rigid Lunchbox planer for quite a while, and it works okay. The best part about it is I think it was $300. When you're looking at the full-size guys, I mean, what are they, 2,000 minimum? I don't know. So for $300, $350, that thing works pretty well, but not the greatest planer in the world. In between the drum sander and the planer, I have a little sanding station, belt disc, and this is either a spindle or a belt sander. So those work pretty well. And then once I'm done, with the planing and all that stuff, I usually cross cut it or, rip one of the other edges with my saw stop. So that's kind of the end of the line for the machine island. Oh, and then on the other side, I guess I forgot, the router table. This is a Jessom router table, and I got a Porter Cable 3 horsepower router in there. I got the little Rockler dust bucket thingy. I don't know if that's picking up underneath there, but good dust collection, and that router table is awesome. The lift is highly accurate. The fence is perfect. That's a great system right there from Jessom. And then again, there's my dust collector. So all of the machines are kind of really close to that thing, and it works really well with the dust collection. It's not too bad. I also have a separator canister for picking up stuff off the ground, and I also have it hooked to my sanders. I'm actually doing a little bit of work. I'm waiting on a couple of fittings, elbows and things, to kind of fix some of the problems that I have with that, but that's pretty much my milling work. Now, one of the advantages to having this table right here and then the Festool vacuum is I also have the MFT workstation thing, and so I don't have to move the vacuum to do Festool tool work. I used to have this big table at the end way down here in the joiner too, where the bandsaw and the chair are, and it was a pain because I'd have to drag my Festool vacuum back and forth every time I was doing stuff. Now everything's just hooked up, ready to go, and I don't have to mess around. Behind the Festool MFT table is I just bought this. It's a huge storage rack. I got it at Costco for like 130 bucks. It's massive. It's like really heavy duty industrial, and it was cheap, and it goes together quick. So just kind of holding, random stuff. I got all my Festool tools up there, and just, I don't know, miscellaneous tools and supplies. Next to the Festool this is going to be the X-Carve Station. So you can see I have boxes of X-Carve parts that I need to start working on, but now that I got a station, that shouldn't take too long, and I'm actually going to be doing that this week. So I'm excited about that. Next to that, I'm kind of calling this like Maker's Corner. It's got all my just general tools and stuff. Just kind of worked out that way. And then that wall is the new wall that I just put up around my lathe. The idea is to get some dust collection going. I didn't have any dust collection at all before. And what I would do is just turn this fan on, and it would just blow the dust away from my face. And that worked fine, but the problem was the dust continued on down the line. So I'm hoping that these two fittings, I have one in the kind of corner here, which I'm actually going to put a big like 12-inch hood there instead of just a pipe. And then I even have one behind the lathe. And so I'm hoping that between those two things, everything should be kind of collected with the lathe. And then behind my rollaway toolbox is a 1 horsepower dust collector hooked to those two fittings. And then next to that, we got the jet grinder, and I use that to sharpen my chisel, my turning tools and chisels and things, and that fan. And then this is kind of the casting area somewhat. which you've probably seen in earlier videos, but I am changing things around. I didn't like being up against that wall because I couldn't get good camera angles and there's no good lighting. So done some modifications. I turned this assembly table 90 degrees. It used to be the other way. And I'm going to be doing my casting actually on that table so I can get good camera angles from any angle I want. And then I got my pressure pots on a new rolly station thing, so I can put them wherever I want, wherever it's the most convenient for the camera work. Otherwise, you know, I can still work up on this. There was no problem doing casting against the wall. It worked great for just doing casting, but it was the videotaping and trying to explain stuff that was a problem. So up above, I got some, you know, cabinet storage that I'm just kind of trying to figure out what to exactly do. The middle thing right here, where the stereo is, that's going to probably be all my dies and everything. It's going to be all the casting equipment. Next to that, I have this other little kind of chest thing that has my electronics and chargers. It's kind of a charging station, I guess, in a sense. Below that is like some finishing supplies and just random finishing and casting things. Then I got another one of these big industrial racks that's holding all of my resin and casting supplies that I don't necessarily need every time. And then down the line we got the drill press, and I moved that from where the X-Carve was. And then this is all the hand tool stuff and clamp storage above that. So let's see here. And my rollaway. All right, well, there you have it, Shop Tour 2015. I hope you had a good time kind of walking through, checking out my space with me. Hopefully the footage wasn't terrible. I was trying not to make it too bumpy or whatever, but whatever, you get kind of talking and things, the camera's doing whatever, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully the audio is a little better on this one. I got a new microphone, so we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I mean, the major changes, the major upgrades and stuff are obviously, the whole point was I had to make room for the X-Carve. That's why all of this happened. And then I've been planning to do certain things, and it was the time to do it. So, you know, I got that wall up. Hopefully the dust collection will be a lot better on my lathe area. And then the casting area. I'm hoping that this new way of doing things is going to facilitate making it easier to get things set up and get the shots that I'm looking for and get more casting videos out. So that was kind of the whole point. Most of the other changes are just efficiencies and, you know, little things that are going to make things a lot better for me in the shop, just because I put certain things where they are, you know. So I hope you enjoyed kind of walking through with me. If you have any comments or questions, you can leave those down below on anything, you know, the upgrades, the tools, and, you know, whatever in the shop. Leave those down below on YouTube. There's going to be an accompanying post on my website for this video. You can leave comments and questions there as well. If you need to get a hold of me direct, my email address is zach@nvwoodworks.com. Also on Facebook and Twitter, you can check me out there. So I hope you had a good time on the shop tour. I had a good time doing it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.